Good morning. We're back here with Wendell Stevens, and I'm still here at the Galactic Convention. Now, Wendell, I can't help but continue to come back and talk to you over and over because, you know, beforehand, I wanted you to tell me exactly how you got started. Tell me about the story about the farmer in the field and about the pictures and that sort of thing. What pictures are these with the farmer in the field and the one that was taken away for 8 days? What happened with that story?
Okay, he was a tractor driver, a grader driver in Sao Paulo, Brazil. He had got off work late. He worked till 9, 10 o'clock at night. He rode a truck bus home, got off the truck in front of his house, had to walk across the farmer's field to get to his house there, and as he was walking across the field in the dark, he saw a light with people moving around it in the distance. He stopped to take a look at it, and then he felt a touch on his shoulder on each side, and he floated into the air. He was off his feet, and they floated him to the craft and took him aboard. And he saw little alien beings putting boxes of plants aboard that they had pulled out of the field. The ship took off, and they put him in some kind of a hammock for the takeoff, and he dozed for a short time. And when he woke up, the leader of the group wanted to ask him about raising the plant, growing the plants. He said, "Oh, I don't know anything about plants." The captain was perplexed. He said, "I thought that was your field." He said, "No, that's not my field, and I know nothing about agriculture." And the leader said, "Oh, we made a mistake there. We thought we had somebody that could help us grow these." So when they got to the home planet that they called KARAOKE, and got out of the ship, the captain, the leader of the UFO group, explained to the people, the planetary government there, that he had made a mistake and grabbed the wrong guy. So they apologized to him and told him it would take him about 8 days to turn another craft around to take him back home again, during which time he would be the guest of one of the planetary leaders in his home for the time being, for the 8 days while he waited. And one of those leaders took him home to his residence where his wife and teenage daughter lived. And he ate their food, drank their water, slept in their beds. They took him around and showed him the industry, agriculture, entertainment, everything about that planetary society. When he came back, he wrote 15 scholarly notebooks full of notes, which I translated into the Contact from Planet Descartes.
Let me see that one. Let me see that CD so we can show. Okay, no, I think we have it on the other clip.
Yeah.
Okay, and now, when you first, you have some pictures. You were telling me about some pictures in one of the other interviews. When you say you first were contacted by somebody to go over to see about Billy in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Tell me about Billy in Switzerland. And
well, he
Luke.
was a one-armed farmer there that made his living as a caretaker on an absentee property in Hinwell. And he was contacted involuntarily first when he was riding his moped and had turned off into a nature preserve south of Hinwell, when he heard a humming, whining sound in the clouds above him, saw a silvery disc come out of the clouds and go back in the clouds again, a puffy cloud. A minute later, it came back out again, a circle slowly around and landed in the grass next to him. And he tried to run towards it, but he said it was like running against an ever stronger stream in a current in a river, and he reached the point where he could make no more further progress. He just sat down on the ground and waited to see what would happen. And a woman came out from behind the craft in a one-piece silvery gray suit, walked up to him and said, "I am not from your planet, I am from the Pleiades. The star group that you call the Pleiades." And he said, she said, I have an important message for you now. Listen very carefully. And don't forget any of the details. And he said, "How will I do that? I have no recorder, nor notebook, nor pencil. I can't make any notes." She said, "I'll help you remember it when the time comes." When he came back from that meeting, he went home, had a cup of coffee to settle his nerves a little bit, sat down to try to remember what she had told him, when his hand took off in automatic writing very rapidly in cursive German, and he copied every single word that was said in the conversation, word for word, even feeling, the ideas, and the thought content as he was rewriting it. And that was about, the message was about the destruction of our ionosphere by industrial gases that rise slowly to the atmosphere. Some of them take 10 years to get there and come back, combining with one ion and come back carrying the ionosphere away. They said that the destruction up to that point they had measured a loss of 6% of the ionosphere, and they calculated if we could stop all the contamination, all the destruction immediately then, it would continue to deteriorate for another 10 years, during which time they projected a 16% loss. We didn't stop then, and we didn't stop for another 10 years. So their last message on the ionosphere I heard of was that they measured our loss of ionosphere at something like 26%. Mutation has already begun. In 200 years, life on this planet will not be the same again. Everything will have changed, mutated and changed because of the destruction of the ionosphere and the harsh radiation coming through to all living forms on this planet.
And you did check him out to see if his pictures were indeed authentic that he had?
Oh, we tested his pictures exhaustively with every photo processing agency we could find, and nobody could dispute them.
Now, I had asked you previously, had you encountered any aliens that were of color or black? What was your response to that?
One of the visitors to Billy Meyer was a black woman. She was very dark, ebony black. She had frizzly black curly hair, looked more like a typical Hottentot native from Africa than anything else. Her name was Mina, or Nera, that was her, Mina was her name. And she contacted Billy Meyer several times and there were contact notes of his discussions with Mina.
Now, what was she wearing? Do you remember?
She was wearing, in the pictures he took of her, she was wearing a gold jacket that looked like a shiny metallic gold or like a nylon gold. It was a beautiful, bright gold-looking color. But the others of the ladies had worn the same type of garment.
Now, when the farmer was on the ship, did he get a chance to see any weapons or anything?
When he was on the scout craft, he saw what looked like a weapon in a case on the wall, and he said, "What's that?" She said, "Oh, that's an antique." She reached over, unsnapped the case, pulled it out, and handed it to him, and said, "Do you remember how to use this?" He said, "How would I remember that?" She said, "You have used one before."
And what did it do? What was the function of it?
Well, she said, "You may take it and study it. I'll come back. I'll pick it up next time I come back." So he took the beam gun, and when he got home, he went back into the Hindwell Forest to try it out, and he saw a rabbit hopping across the field. He turned the dial on the top of the barrel to a minimum position and shot at the rabbit. The rabbit was paralyzed in mid-jump. He walked over and looked at him. In a few minutes, the rabbit recovered and hopped away.
So if you were to turn this up even higher...
They turned it up to the other side, up to the sharp energy point, and turned it up and fired at a branch on a tree about 100 feet above him. Big tree. And it severed it completely. It fell to the ground right in front of it. And I have the branch. It shows very little searing at the point where it's cut, but it's a clean cut, just like it was cut with a guillotine or with an axe or something like that. But the charring from the beam only went about a 1/16 of an inch on either inside into the wood. If you cut it off with a blowtorch, you'd have charring for 1/4 of an inch or more.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you so much for your precious time and giving me an opportunity to stop you once again so I could get more informative information with you. And I do plan on getting you on the radio show. Wendell, thank you once again.
You bet, sir. Thank you very much.